Imagine this. One morning you wake up, try to withdraw your own money, and the bank looks you in the eye and says, "No. We're keeping it." 4 days. Then weeks. They laugh at your complaints. They treat you like you're the problem. But what happens when the customer fights back? Not with lawyers, not with threats, but with something far more devastating. Today's revenge story shows exactly what happens when a local bank locks the wrong person's money. If you've ever wished you could serve instant justice to a company that wronged you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in, because this revenge is so creative, you'll be grinning ear to ear by the end. You know how everyone says, support local businesses, support small banks? Well, our storyteller decided to do exactly that. Instead of handing their hard-earned money over to some massive corporate chain, they trusted a small, local credit union. A place that was supposed to feel personal, human, safer. At first, everything seemed fine. Deposits went through. The card worked. They thought, this is nice. I'm not just an account number here. I'm a person. But then came the moment that changed everything. One afternoon, our storyteller went to the ATM, inserted the card, entered the PIN, waited for that sweet sound of cash dispensing. Instead, error. The card didn't work. Annoyed, but not panicked, they went inside the branch. A clerk smiled, reassured them, and gave them a special code they could use to directly pull money from their account. It happens sometimes, the clerk explained. No big deal. So far, so good. The problem seemed solved. Right. Wrong. Fast forward a few days. The card still isn't working. And now, out of nowhere, the entire account is frozen. Not just the card. Not just the ATM. All funds. Locked. Untouchable. When the storyteller called customer support, they expected apologies, reassurances, a quick fix. Instead, they were met with snark. The agents were dismissive, almost mocking. Some even hinted, without saying it outright, that the real reason for suspicion was the storyteller's foreign-sounding last name. Can you imagine that? Your own money, held hostage, while strangers on the phone hint that maybe you don't belong. Day after day, the frustration grew. Bills had to be paid. Groceries had to be bought. And every time, the answer from the bank was the same: sorry, your account is under review. Nothing we can do. Weeks passed. Then more than a month. A month with zero access to money that wasn't even in overdraft. The storyteller described it as suffocating. Like standing behind a glass wall, watching your own life but being powerless to touch. Finally, exhausted and venting to family overseas, the storyteller explained what was happening. How the bank wouldn't listen. How they felt humiliated. That's when a younger cousin spoke up with an idea. A strange idea. A bold idea. He mentioned a Russian service. A place online where, for just a few rubles, you could pay strangers to flood social media with whatever message you wanted. 1 ruble was barely a cent. And for just a couple dollars, you could have hundreds of people posting complaints. Negative reviews. Public shaming. At first, the storyteller hesitated. Was this too much? Would it even work? But then they thought back to the snarky customer service agents. The prejudice. The helplessness of not being able to access their own funds for a month. And suddenly, $3 didn't sound like much at all. 5. The revenge plan. So they did it. They typed up a message. Crafted a few variations. Plugged it into the Russian website. And then they clicked submit. Within hours, the bank's once quiet Facebook page, Twitter feed, even their Google reviews, were on fire. Hundreds of accounts, American-looking profiles, random avatars, different names, all posting complaints. Stories of terrible service. Stories of funds being locked. Warnings to stay away. Anyone visiting the bank's social media that day would see a flood of negativity. And here's the best part, it was completely untraceable. The storyteller didn't have to wait long. That very same day, after weeks of silence and arrogance, the phone rang. On the other end wasn't some underpaid, snarky call center rep. It was the manager. Her tone was completely different. Gone was the smugness. Gone was the dismissal. Instead, she was apologetic. Almost pleading. She said, "We understand your frustration. We're ready to immediately release all your funds. In fact, we'll even add $50 in compensation. You can transfer everything to any bank of your choosing." Just like that. 1 month of stonewalling vanished the moment their reputation was threatened. The storyteller, of course, agreed. The money was transferred. The ordeal was finally over. But here's the delicious twist. Once the Russian floodgate had opened, there was no stopping it. The posts, the complaints, the reviews, they kept coming. And the storyteller couldn't undo it, even if they wanted to. That credit union would spend weeks, maybe months, trying to recover its reputation. All because they underestimated the wrong customer. Think about it. This little local bank thought they held all the power. They thought freezing someone's money was just paperwork. Just another review. But power cuts both ways. And when everyday people are pushed far enough, they get creative. For $3, less than the cost of a cup of coffee, this storyteller flipped the entire balance of power. From ignored, from humiliated, from powerless, to having the bank's own manager calling them personally, begging to set things right. That's the definition of sweet, poetic justice. Sometimes, revenge doesn't need to be loud or violent. Sometimes, it just needs to be clever. And this story reminds us, when institutions treat people unfairly, they forget one thing: every single customer has a voice. And sometimes, that voice can echo louder than they ever imagined. So what do you think? Did this revenge go too far, or was it exactly the kind of justice the bank deserved? If this story made you smile, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and of course, subscribe for more incredible Reddit revenge stories every week. Because as today proved, sometimes the little guy wins in the most unexpected ways.